I don't know if maybe we should give them like a minute. Okay, yeah. Kojitsu can make it. So I guess I'm gonna light the candle again. I was telling Kote before that I've got a little fan going on over there, and the room is so small, and the current that forms is so strong that the candle is just obliterated in a matter of like 15 minutes. But we're gonna start in a minute. As usual, I encourage you to chant as loud as you can if you're able to in your house. If you can do prostrations, do prostrations. If you can only manage deep gashos are totally fine. Whatever your body allows and your heart tells you to do, that's appropriate. Okay. Sorry about this, everyone. I had to do it the very last minute. Okay. All right. As usual, we begin with our incense offering. So if everyone's ready, welcome to June's Fusatsu ceremony, the precept recommitment ceremony. So we're here again to recommit to the precepts. And as usual, we'll begin with our short reading before going into the different little steps of the ceremony, beginning with the atonement. The great precepts of Gautama Buddha were kept by all Buddhas. They were transmitted from Buddha to Buddha, and they were received by ancestor after ancestor. Our great master, Gautama Buddha, transmitted the precepts to Master Mahakashapa. Master Mahakashapa transmitted the precepts to Master Ananda. And the transmission of the precepts has continued in this way, passing from orthodox successor to orthodox successor in one line. Now we reaffirm our commitment to the precepts, to return the profound benevolence of Gautama Buddha. We trust this to be the true reception of Gautama Buddha's wisdom and life. Respectfully following the approval of Gautama Buddha, we would like to devote ourselves to the precepts, beginning with atoning for past misdeeds. For this part, as usual, you can either be in Gassho or kneel if you're like me.
All harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all. All harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all. All harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all. Homage to the 7 Buddhas of the past. Homage to Shakyamuni Buddha, a person of this earth. Homage to Miroku Buddha, symbol of hope for the future. Homage to Monju Bodhisattva, symbol of great wisdom. Homage to Fugen Bodhisattva, symbol of great activity. Homage to Kanzeon Bodhisattva, symbol of great compassion. Homage to the successive generations of ancestor Bodhisattvas.
Well, this is the part that I always loved with the water and the leaf. So if you brought a water and if you brought your leaf, we can use those to symbolically and literally purify ourselves. you've all been here in the previous months. So the leaf is still alive after 3 months. Now it has roots and is as big as the other one, so we continue to purify with the same one. This is fantastic, by the way. So as usual, we take our leaf or our fingers, whatever we have, we consider, I think the important bit about this is to really consider deeply, profoundly, what our practice is like, what our practice with the precepts has been like, how we feel about how we've engaged with the precepts, acknowledging to ourselves our shortcomings, acknowledging to ourselves the moments where we probably did not manifest quite like we wanted, our understanding, our awakening, and we atone together and for ourselves. And we purify ourselves before we actually get into reciting the precepts together. So, you know, we like our three. So we take the water and we sprinkle ourselves once, twice, 3 times. And I'll do one for all beings. Consider yourselves purified and ready to hear the precepts and to recommit to them. Before that, however, somehow I always try to find something to say before we ponder the precepts together, and it so happened that the other day someone asked a question on the forum. I don't remember exactly what it was about. Oh yes, I think it was something about how to not go under, how to not become discouraged when we can't do as much as we would like to do, or we feel we should do in this world that is in so much turmoil, that is in so much suffering. And sometimes we might look at ourselves and think, what is this sitting facing a wall doing for the world? What is it doing for anyone around us? Is that enough? But then, we remember the precepts here, and there's a reason we take the precepts. There's a reason we have the precepts. But because of that question on the forum, I wanted to give some sort of an uplifting answer. And digging through, what I like to do is digging through the Buddha's words, I came upon something that you will find familiar. Basically because we just recited part of it and I had no idea where it came from. I never knew. But there's that, oh no, actually we will be reciting it in a minute. There is a line in our preface to the precepts that says, do not trivialize minor misdeeds. Drops of water, although tiny, gradually fill a large basin. And in the Dhammapada, which is the short sayings of the Buddha, verse 121 says, hold not a sin of little worth, a misdeed of little worth, thinking this is little to me. The falling of drops of water will in time fill a water jar. Even so, the foolish man becomes full of evil, although he gathers it little by little. It's the same thing. I didn't know it came from there. My surprise, however, was the next verse. It continues saying, hold not a deed of little worth, thinking this is little to me. The falling of drops of water will in time fill a large water jar. Even so, the wise man becomes full of good, although he gathers it little by little. There's a contrast here between what we recite, which is, do not trivialize minor misdeeds. Don't think something you've done, even though it's small, it's unimportant, it bears no weight, it has no importance. Tiny drops fill a large basin. But this verse takes it to the next step and says, also remember, every small little thing that we do also fills up our karmic jar in a way. Nothing is too tiny. Nothing is too unimportant. And we think of the precepts, every time we hear them, they are in this codified form. And each and every one of them expresses a refrain from. It's sort of a kind of like a prohibition in a way. It sounds like stop, don't. But if we do the same thing that the Buddha did here, we take it and go, every single refrain from is also a do something. Mainly because the precepts apply to our entire life. And during our entire life, during everything that happens, every moment of existence, there's not much choice for not doing. We always have to deal with something that's in front of us, a situation, something happening, a person. There is always a need for some sort of doing. The refrain from also implies, okay, but what do I do then? And what we do is we act as much as we can in accordance with the precepts. And the precepts have been around ever since the Buddha was teaching 2,500 years ago. In different forms. There were the 5 precepts, there were the 8 precepts that are still kept up to this day in the majority of Sanghas in the world. For lay practitioners especially, where they take them for precisely this day, the day of Uposatha, the day of the full moon, as a training kind of exercise. And what is important about the precepts is that they point to something crucial, which is the only thing that belongs to us. That might not make a lot of sense said just like that, but I really wanted to share with you something from a very, very old Bodhisattva Sutra. I'm not even going to call it a Mahayana Sutra because it's older than the actual compendium of Mahayana works. It is considered a Mahayana Sutra, but it's actually part of what used to be the Bodhisattva Pitaka, which is the 4th basket of teachings. But in this particular text, the Buddha talks to a lay practitioner, a householder, which is asking the Buddha, how should a householder Bodhisattva practice? What is it that we should do? And I think that's a relevant question for all of us. And in one particular part of the sutra, the Buddha says to him, you should train yourself, you should think like this. It is not my business to accumulate unvirtuous deeds for anyone's sake. But I should devote myself to what is really mine. That is, the virtues of giving, discipline, self-restraint, endurance, good character, exertion, vigilance, the accumulation and production of the factors of enlightenment. That is what is actually mine. Wherever I may go, these qualities will go with me. Thinking in this way, the Bodhisattva does not accumulate offense. If we look at the precepts, they are included in these qualities, the quality of giving. We can think of the precept about not being stingy with the Dharma. We can also think of the precept of not taking that which is not given. The virtue of discipline. Which of the precepts does not fall under the virtue of discipline? This is what's really ours. Our actions, our karma, what we bring into this world, however we manifest our particular awakening individually. Our practice is one of continuous investigation. We continuously ask ourselves, what is this? How do I engage with it? And the precepts offer us this solid body of answers that are useful for pretty much every situation of life in one way or another. We just need to continuously ask, how does this apply? Which one of them works? Which one of the precepts works for this situation that I'm in? What do I do now? What does it mean to refrain from in this moment? What does it mean to do something in this moment? And so, of course, we will eternally fail as long as our bodies and minds are in action. We will continuously fail. And we will continuously come back to atone, to recognize that we cannot do it 100% the way it's written down, but we do our best. And when we do our best, it is absolutely sufficient, and we use 100% of what is ours, which is what the Buddha said that a bodhisattva, a householder bodhisattva should do. Thank you for listening to that. I hope there's something useful in it. So we can now return to our precepts. If everyone's ready to recite them, pay attention to them. Be reminded of why you received them if you have. Or maybe ponder whether you should or you might want to formally receive the precepts. All you disciples of the Buddha, join your palms in reverence and listen wholeheartedly. I would now like to articulate the preface to the great precepts of the Buddhas. If the members of the assembly will quietly listen, and they know that they have done wrong, they will atone. If they atone, then they will be at ease. If they do not repent, their wrongdoing will grow more grievous. Those who have done wrong are silent, and because of their silence, you should know that they are all purified. Worthy monks, laymen, laywomen, and all the rest, listen well. In this difficult age, when the lifetime of the Buddha sometimes seems distant, you should revere the Pratimoksha. The Pratimoksha is none other than these precepts. When you observe these precepts, it is like darkness meeting with light. It is like someone poor attaining a treasure. It is like someone who is ill being healed. It is like a prisoner being released from his chains. It is like a traveler who is able to return home. You should know that these rules are the great teacher for this assembly of people, no different from the presence of the Buddha in the world here and now. Thoughts of fear are difficult to produce. Unwholesome thoughts are difficult to give rise to. Therefore, a sutra says, do not trivialize minor misdeeds as if they're not problematic. Drops of water, although tiny, will gradually fill a large basin. A single instant of wrongdoing can lead you to fall into a hell of uninterrupted suffering. Once you lose your human body, you may not get another one for 10,000 kalpas. Just as a galloping horse, one's physical strength will not remain. The transience of human life goes beyond the mountains and the seas. Even if something remains for the duration of one day, it will be quite difficult to hold on to it tomorrow. Members of the assembly should each energetically advance their own minds. Be careful not to be lazy, negligent, drowsy, or arbitrary. In the evening, you must gather your thoughts and focus them firmly on the three treasures. Don't take as being a waste of time the effort to deepen your repentance for those of later generations. Members of the assembly, each of you, in your own minds, should carefully rely on these precepts. Discipline yourselves in the practices that accord with the Buddha's teachings. Now let us recommit to the precepts. Today, I reaffirm my commitment to seek as I can in this body and life to avoid doing harm, to seek as I can in this body and life to live in a healthful and helping way, doing good. To seek as I can in this body and life to live for the benefit of all sentient beings. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from the killing of life. To seek as I can in this body and life to live in generosity and refrain from taking that which is not given. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from misusing sexuality and all desire. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from false and malicious speech. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from intoxication in its many forms. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from unconstructively criticizing the errors and faults of others. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from praising oneself and judging others. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from stinginess in bestowing the Buddhist teachings and all precious things. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from all anger. To seek as I can in this body and life to refrain from disparaging the three treasures, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Let us recite together the refuge verse. Give me 1 second, Kote. I have no legs at the moment. Okay, we're good.
I know how that feels.
At the end of each line, there's a small bell. You're probably already used to it, but that's where the deep gashos or prostrations go. 1 second, Kote. Okay.
I take refuge in Buddha. May all living beings embody the great way and give rise to the highest aspiration. I take refuge in Dharma. May all living beings enter deeply into the sutras, that ocean of wisdom. I take refuge in Sangha. May all living beings support harmony in the community, free from all hindrances. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless. To transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible. To perceive reality, though reality is boundless. To attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless. To transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible. To perceive reality, though reality is boundless. To attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless. To transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible. To perceive reality, the reality is boundless. To attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable.
Abiding in this ephemeral world, may we exist in muddy water with purity like a lotus. Nothing escapes the boundless mind. Thus we bow to Buddha. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, reality existing right here now. In reaffirming our commitment to the precepts, we dedicate our sincere efforts to Shakyamuni Buddha, honored one, the historical Buddha and teacher, to the all-pervading and everlasting three treasures, to all arhats and bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, and their relations throughout the Dharma world. May we all realize and live the enlightened way together.
All Buddhas throughout space and time, all Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, Maha Prajna Paramita.
Thank you very much. Always grateful that you make the time to be here, to keep this very, very special gathering going. I always say this, but it's been going on for 2,500 years. It's kind of important. It's part of what has kept Sanghas going. The Buddha always said that as long as the monks practice the Dharma and keep the Vinaya, the law, the monastic law, nowadays for us it's the precepts, the Dharma will continue to be in the world. So we're putting a little grain or a little drop, our little drop in the bucket of Dharma waters. There you go. Thank you very much. I'm not going to keep you longer. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And take care of yourselves. Be well.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Very nice, Bia and Kote. That was awesome.
Thank you very